Welcome back. On our second day, we're going to do our second page and we're going to begin our final project. Each week, we'll do some practice and then we'll make a project. So for today, you'll need your markers again. You'll need your packet paper. We'll be doing the second page, but the first page is going to help us. And then you'll need your large, big white paper that has the 2 holes poked on it, or punched out of it. We'll be decorating that paper today with some of our line practice. Get your markers and your line handout, and let's get started on our practice for today. All right. So remember from yesterday, we practiced tracing some different lines and naming some of our different lines. Today, we'll practice some of those same lines, but in a different way. Go ahead and each square we can pick a color for. So get your first color ready to go. For this line, this box, it says to make straight lines in this box. We're going to fill each box with many different lines from the style that it says. So this one says straight lines. I'm going to fill my box with straight lines. These lines go up and down. They're called vertical straight lines. As we repeat a line, we make a pattern. Here, we use straight lines to make a striped pattern. Pick your next color for some wavy lines. Let's fill this box with our wavy lines. Remember, it looks like a long thing of faraway hills. It curves up and down, up and down. I'm taking my time to make each wavy line try to match the other wavy line that's above it. I'm repeating my wavy lines, and when I repeat my wavy lines, I make a wavy line pattern. Our next line is a dotted line. We can make a dotted line by making tiny circles all in a row. You could also use the tip and make little nice neat dots. Don't press too hard or you might smush the tip and then it won't make a nice skinny thin line like we practiced yesterday. I'm making some that are kind of bigger dots and some that are smaller dots. I'm repeating my dotted lines to make a pattern. I have a polka dot pattern. Next color. All right. My next one is spirals. That's one of my favorite. This time, my lines don't always, a line doesn't have to be all in a row. I can make lots of spirals in this box to make a spiral pattern. They don't have to connect. I'm just going to fill this box with lots of spiral patterns. Now I have a box full of spirals. I have a spiral pattern. Okay. Next, it's time for some zigzags. I'm going to make my zigzags yellow like lightning bolts. So our zigzag is like a wavy line, but remember, instead of curving, it's straight lines back and forth. We practiced zigzags that go this way. We can also make vertical zigzags. Those are the ones that look more like lightning bolts. So what did I make by repeating my line? That's right, I made a pattern. Our next one are crisscross lines. Yesterday we practiced making crisscross by just crossing little lines together. But we can make a crisscross pattern that fills the whole box. Let's start with vertical straight lines. After I fill the box with my vertical straight lines, then I'm going to make my horizontal straight lines. So I made lines that go up and down. Now I'm making lines that go across. So my lines are crossing, making it a crisscross pattern. Sometimes that looks like a pattern, like a plaid pattern, if that were on our clothes. 3 more lines to practice. Our next one is practicing more of our curly lines to fill our box. We're going to repeat the curly lines, make your curly line pattern. Curly lines are that loop-de-loop-de-loop lines, that crazy roller coaster. Next, I have my thick line patterns. Thick lines, remember, I want to use the side of the tip of my marker. When I use it on this side, that gives me a nice wide tip to use. By using it on my side, I can make thick lines. Now I have a thick line pattern. I have a thick stripe pattern. Okay, my very last one is for thin lines. Remember, for thin lines, I want to use the tippy top point of my marker. Remember, we also talked about how straight lines can go from corner to corner. We call the diagonal lines. I'm going to make thin diagonal lines to practice my thin lines and make a thin line pattern. Okay, we made lots of beautiful patterns by repeating the element of art of a line. We learned lots of different line styles and practiced them and named them. Now it's time to do that on our final paper for this assignment. So go ahead and get out your large, long piece of white paper with the 2 hole punches in it. And leave your markers out. We'll need those too. Okay, do you have the right piece of paper out? It should have 2 holes punched. And that'll be the top, where the hole punches are, although that won't really matter today. We're going to fill this paper with lines. We'll be creating little stripes of patterns of different lines, and I want you to use lots of colors. You don't have to use every color, but try to use at least 3 different colors and switch your colors up as we switch the line styles up. So pick your first line to get started. As we work, if you have a different line style you'd like to make, you can certainly switch and do that line style. But we're going to see if we can fill this whole paper up with all the different lines that we practice without repeating those lines. If I start going too fast, remember you can pause the video and get caught up. I have my first color ready to go. And I'm going to start on the side. So this is the top. We're going to go from side to side. We're going across our paper. What we're going to do is we are going to make patterns of lines. So we're going to do it like 5 or 6 different 5 or 6 lines of whatever line style we're doing with our color, and then we'll switch to a new color and a new line style. I'll get started with wavy lines. You can see I'm starting at the edge of my paper, and I'm going all the way from one end to the other. And then I'm going to repeat. And my lines are pretty close together. I want to fill my paper, but I'm going to fill it with lots of different types of lines. So I don't want to take up too much room by making my lines too far apart. My pattern is repeating, and it's going to repeat next to itself. Okay, that's 5 purple wavy lines for me. So I think 5 is a good start. That filled a good amount of my paper. Now I'm going to go ahead and switch to my next color. And let's switch to a new type of line. Let's make some straight lines. Let's make these straight lines go across our paper, and we'll stack them up from the bottom up to the top. I'm trying to make each line about the same width, the same distance. This takes lots of time to work super neat. Remember, if I'm too fast, pause it. Don't speed up your work. Just slow me down by pausing the video. Take your time and do your best work. Okay, straight line stripes. New color, new line. How about those curly lines I like so much? Those are the lines that go loop-de-loop across our paper. Loop-de-loop lines are a lot bigger than some of our other lines. So I think I might only do 3 loop-de-loop lines because that fills about the same space as my wavy lines did. See? It's all about the same space of lines. Okay, next color, next style of line. How about some nice thick lines? We'll make some thick stripe lines that go this way because it'll be different from our lines that went this way. Remember, to make my thick lines, I'm using the side of the tip of my marker to make thick lines. I'm going to do 5 thick green lines. Make sure as you're working with markers, the most important thing is to really click your lid nice and secure. That will help make sure it doesn't dry out, because when our markers dry out, you can't use them anymore. I want you to be able to use your markers long past when art class is over. Okay, next, I picked my yellow. I'm kind of going in rainbow order here. Since I picked yellow, I want some zigzags. It always makes me think of lightning bolts. So like wavy, but with a straight pointy instead of curved. And since these are bigger, let's just do 4 rows. Okay, I am a little bit over halfway done filling my paper. We're probably going to do about 4 more line styles on here. Okay, next, how about some polka dot lines? Let's make some rows of polka dots. We can make big dots by drawing a circle, small circle, and coloring it in. It's lots and lots of practice. Making lots and lots of different types of lines. But each of these lines we're practicing are going to be great lines to use in our artwork. I know my hand gets a little tired after working for a while. So if your hand gets a little tired, it's okay to pause the video and come back later if you need to take a little break with your artwork. Let's do one more row. We'll have 4 rows or 4 lines of dots, making our orange or whatever color you're using polka dot patterns. You might not even be making a polka dot pattern right now. You might be using a different line all together. Okay, getting to the end here. Okay, my next color and my next line. Let's do a few rows of my favorite, the spiral. Remember, your spiral, you can start on the inside and bring it outward. You can start on the outside and bring it inward. It's your choice where you want to start your spiral. But it just goes from in and around and around and around. It looks like cinnamon buns, which makes me hungry. Let's do 2 rows of spirals today. Okay, 2 rows of red spirals, 2 line styles left for room here. let's make some of those diagonal lines. Our diagonal lines go on an angle, like from corner to corner of our paper. And just like we stopped our straight lines here, we'll just make our diagonal lines about the same distance apart. Leaving us the perfect amount of room for one more line. All right, I have my last color, my last section here. And I'm gonna make some dashed lines to fill up the rest of this space. So that's when it's lots of little lines all in a row. And this will be the last thing that we do today. Tomorrow, when you come to class, to lesson, you'll need this paper. And you'll need the paper, the colored paper strips. So the longer, skinny color strips of paper. You'll need your glue, and I put 2 little strips of some glittery kind of sticker tape in your folder. You'll need that too. If you have other tape at home that's easier to use, you can use that instead. So this paper, your strips of colorful paper, so these right here, and the tape to help us put it all together. And I'll see you tomorrow to finish our work.